Cricket et al. It's a website, it's a podcast, Pete, it's a way of life.
Okay, it's Gideon Haig over here.
It's Peter Lawler over here.
And welcome to Cricket et al., your independent cricket podcast. Things have changed since last week. Where on earth are you, Pete? You look like you're in a hall of mirrors. You look like the Palace of Versailles. What is that behind you?
It is a pretty grand mirror, isn't it?
It is.
You can't see the bald spot at the back of my head, can you? I'm actually I'm on Sandy Bay Road in Hobart, Tasmania, Australia. Yeah. Good part of the world, just at the end of, that St. George's Terrace, just up from Battery Point there.
Oh, yeah.
Not far from the Sandy Bay Road Bakery,
Right.
where I did a lot of work on Tim Payne's book.
Yeah.
When I was writing Tim Payne's book, because he lived just up the road there.
Good place to go.
It's sensibly summer in the rest of Australia. It's so damn cold here.
Yeah.
But Tasmanians don't seem to notice. They all get around in their shorts. I recall that I would sit doing Tim's book and he would be in his shorts and I'd have like 5 layers of clothes on and just get hypothermia nonetheless. They're weird down here. And you're back in the Cogatorium.
I am back in the Cogatorium, just pro tem. So I'm about to meet my estate agent, and I'm hotspotting it on my phone because I don't have internet anymore. I'm sort of gradually, it's a staged withdrawal from my house, and yes, my life's in flux, but hopefully all that will be resolved presently. But in the meantime, Pete, it's your favourite time of the year, which is, of course, the Great Australian Bat-Off. How's it all going?
Better than this podcast. I'm sorry, people. We're having a few internet problems here. Before we move off from
Okay, all right.
Okay, just before we get onto that Great Australian Bat-Off. One, where's the cat? I haven't been greeted by a vision of its anus at any point during this podcast. Has it moved house?
No. Most of the books, most of the furniture, and the cat have all gone into storage. Well, not into storage. The cat has come to live with Janine and myself in St Kilda, and she's adapted to it seamlessly. She's loving it. In fact, getting more attention than ever.
Got a drug habit yet?
she's
all right. Have any Cricket et al. Listeners been through the place and kicked the tyres and are perhaps interested in buying Carlton place? No?
I don't know. I steer clear of the place when people are coming through for inspection. Nothing worse than people sort of ferreting around in your stuff. I think I've still got all my Wisdens up there. None have gone missing. All is well so far. But the only disappointment my weekend was I got washed out. The Yarra's first round got washed out, which is unusual for us, but we had to sit it out. So we will be talking a little bit of club cricket later, but in the meantime, the Bat-Off, Pete. The Bat-Off, your favourite time of year. Tell us, how is it unfolding as the
Great Australian Bat-Off?
Yep.
The Great Australian Bat-Off it's gone up a notch, Gideon. I think at least in terms of recognition. Have you come across this fantastic thing that Code Sports are doing?
No. Tell me more.
Well, they have got this, what would you call it? It's kind of like a bat-off generator machine that they've developed.
Right.
In which they've got all the candidates listed. It's very informative. And I can't find it on my machine right now. But basically they've gone to Crash. They've gone to Ben, they've gone to Dan Cherney, they've gone to Tim Mitchell, which is the internet guy there, and they've listed the candidates in this year's Great Australian Bat-Off. They've given them an experts ranking. So, for instance, Crash, Cherney and Mitchell have got Labuschagne listed as the number 1 candidate. We appear to be only batting off for one spot here. Horn has given as Constas as his number 1 candidate, but basically it's Labuschagne, Constas, Weatherald, Marcus Harris. Remember Marcus Harris?
I do.
Nathan McSweeney, our mate Patterson. Remember Renshaw, Bancroft, and they've thrown in an outsider, young Campbell Callaway.
Who probably got a duck, got a second.
Yes. So then, so they've basically built a chart where a graph where you can actually track the performance of these batters, or as they say it, they're keeping their. What are they doing? Our experts will have their nose to the ground, getting the latest whispers.
That must be painful for them. Anyway, how's it working?
It's not the best way to get a whisper with your nose.
No.
No.
But Matthew Renshaw has burst out the gate with the first 100 of the first-class season.
Too late.
Too late.
It's all over.
Well, Marnus Labuschagne is I think he's still in as we do this pod. So no real surprise there. You know, I sort of expected him to come back with lots of first-class runs. He's not going to leave any stone unturned in the pursuit of a spot. McSweeney's failed, hasn't he? Bancroft failed. Patterson failed. Constas failed.
Yes.
If Uzi had caught Jake Weatherall, he would have failed, but he's gone on to get 67. Marcus Harris failed to dive in that Shield game, and he's run himself out for 61. So missed opportunity for him. One person who's not in their calculations is Mitchell Marsh, Pete.
Well, that's another. Well, let's keep it. It's a good suggestion and let's keep it out of the way there. But just getting into the bat off for a start. Weatherall was first out of the blocks. He was first to 50, and I saw two headlines that he was that he'd staked a claim for a test place.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's a little bit comparing apples and oranges at the moment, isn't it? Because did you get a chance to tune in to the game at the Wacker?
No,
that's a nightmare. That's a nightmare for me.
Yep.
That is really difficult. I mean, Constas has failed twice. I'm not making any excuses for the batters over there, but if you're Marnus Labuschagne and Usman Khawaja and those guys, you want to be batting on that AB field. You just fill your pockets with runs up there on the AB field. So I don't know how much they will expose themselves. If I'm Usman Khawaja, I'm putting that innings in my pocket and going home. A few people are saying that Labuschagne 100, that's it. Yeah. Race is over. All Labuschagne needed to do was get 100 and he'll go through. So he might damage his chances by playing in any more Shield games, although I'd like to see him keep playing in Shield games.
Is that for him batting? Is that for him opening or batting at 3?
Well, it's opening. The way I read this, Gideon, it's not spelled out, but it's only the opener's position is up for grabs.
Even though Cameron Green's spelling at number 4 for Western Australia and bowled his first class overs in 12 months in this game,
and got a wicket with his second delivery. Indeed. Did you see the catch he took at slips?
I did. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'd put him in for his slip. I'd bat him at number 3 on the strength of his slip catching alone. Sorry. So anyway, yes, it's very early doors there. It's the same questions. We keep coming back to it. You're not convinced about Cameron Green at number 3. I'm not. I don't know what they can do. I can't see them dropping. I can't see them dropping slug unless he fails.
No, maybe not.
Maybe I'm saying that because I'm in Tasmania while we record.
Yeah. It was interesting that he was asked, wasn't he, about the idea of batting at 3 and bowling overs, and he thought that maybe if it did prove difficulty, then Webster could bowl additional overs to make up for it. I still think he looks a more natural player at number 4 or 5, and I still can't quite see any reason why Steve Smith can't bat at 3, except Steve Smith reasons.
I agree with you entirely, but it just looks like that's the way it is. And there are quite a lot of. You'd have to think more people are more comfortable batting at 4 and 5 than 3.
Isn't it interesting that we?
They're easier places to bat,
I assume you put copyright on Great Australian Bat Off because I think it was your formulation originally, wasn't it?
It was one of those little phrases that I sent out to the world, roots, and got quite popular. Yeah. I should have been in advertising, not journalism. Yeah.
We're so obsessed this time of year, always with the top three, aren't we? We forget about everything else. We don't care who's taking wickets as a slow bowler. We don't care who's bowling a quick spell. And as you say, it is kind of difficult to evaluate top three runs when so much depends on luck, so much depends on conditions, so much can depend on injury. This time last year, I think we all had Cameron Bancroft inked in as a good chance starter in the series against India, but he just kept stringing failure after failure after failure.
That's quite. I'd forgotten that. You're right, aren't you? Yeah. But we ended up with Nathan McSweeney. But you now want to throw Mitch Marsh's name into the mix, do you, Gideon?
Well, it's funny. I was thinking when I was watching him on Saturday night. My God, that was good innings.
Scary stuff.
It was scary stuff. If you're Ben Sears, where on earth do you bowl to him? Perfectly acceptable kind of length deliveries. It just seemed like he could hit every single ball before. It was just a matter of where. So, when he's in form like that, he does look absolutely awesome. And it reminded me that a few years ago, Greg Chappell said, Mitchell Marsh, test opener. I think we all scoffed at the time, but as a left field thought, pitch is going to, maybe if it was flat wickets like it was in Australia 5 or 6 years ago, then you give a consideration. The ball, the double lacquered Kookaburra's done maybe just a little bit too much over the last few seasons for a Marsh-like option, and so maybe his chance has come and gone. But my word, he looked authoritative on Saturday night. And his record in his last 7 innings, 54, 88, 18, 100, 85, 9 not out, and 103 not out. And he was the difference between the two sides on Saturday.
Made that 100 in England, didn't he, in the Ashes? Here's a question. If you could be in Baz McCallum's skin, McCallum, whatever his name is, who would you open with? Who would England open with if England had to choose 11 Australians?
Okay, right. So I'm not choosing. Am I pretending that the Australians are English? It's quite a stretch.
I'll make it simpler for you. Pretend that Baz McCallum's the Australian coach.
Yeah, well, he would be interested in ceiling, wouldn't he? He'd be looking in how good the player could be rather than necessarily their last dozen innings.
Yeah.
So there's that. I'm channeling Baz McCallum. He wouldn't be choosing Nathan McSweeney.
No.
And he probably wouldn't be choosing Cameron Bancroft. He wouldn't be choosing Marcus Harris. Probably wouldn't be choosing Uzi, I don't think.
I was just going to say he's probably managed Usman out by now, hasn't he?
Might have, yeah. I think he might be thinking about Weatherald. That's a kind of a Baz McCallum pick. A guy who looks the part, and Weatherald, even when he's not making runs, always looks like he knows what he's doing. He's got lovely technique. He's very good to look at, in the same way as Zach Crawley is. So there's a bit about Weatherald.
There is a bit. Judging by last year's form, he's the in-form Australian first-class batter, isn't he?
He's sorting it out. Yeah.
I'm wondering if Baz might do he might actually opt for Marsh and Constas.
And backing them in the entire series for the next 10 years. The job is theirs. Lock it in.
Give them a 10-year contract. Yeah, we have been discussing that spot for ages. It's funny. I caught up on the phone with David Warner during the week, and I was thinking, it just makes it so easy when you can lock in that one opener or those two openers, doesn't it, for a long time? They were blessed to have Warner for that decade plus at the top of the order.
They were.
It made life so much easier.
Is he talking about a comeback yet? Is he available? Surely he's available. Talk him into it, please. Get the exclusive.
Our relationship almost didn't survive his last suggestion of a comeback. As you may recall, I was a bit harsh at the time. I'm not going to repeat what I said. I kind of wish I had never said it.
Oh, wouldn't you love him to sort of surge his way through the pack and announce his availability and wait for the nation's call?
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's going to happen, but anyway, yeah. All right. Well, we're none the wiser there. In fact, we're dumber than when we started because you throw Mitch Marsh into the mix just to muddy the waters a little bit more.
Women's World Cup, Pete. Where are we up to?
Well, the India and Pakistan played off last night in a repeat, and there were repeat scenes from the men's match, although perhaps not. I don't think it was as febrile as the Asia Cup men's matches. Nonetheless, there were no handshakes at the start of the game, no handshakes at the end of the game. We kind of knew that was going to happen, and it didn't seem to affect the match too much. Although, did you see what happened at the toss, kids?
No, tell me.
Pakistan's skipper, Fatima Saina, called tails. Yeah. The match referee and Mel Jones, who was announcing, heard heads. It landed heads. Right. I said, your call.
Right, okay.
And
right.
I mean, in other circumstances, we'd be talking about that for 2 decades. Like, the fix was in. So George Plimpton said in that famous boxing match. Then there was the rather interesting run-out with Muniba Ali toward the end, but they're just match incidents. There didn't seem to be any sort of additional acrimony above and beyond which the BCCI and the BJP have imposed upon their cricketers when these games happen.
It does seem to be the case that we're now at the stage where sort of any gesture of sportsmanship or civility towards Pakistan would be interpreted by anti-national. It'd be like Chamberlain-like appeasement. I dare say the same is probably true for Pakistani players.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, Pakistan have been as much to blame in a lot of this as India, to my mind. Well, in their behaviours, maybe not in that sort of structural thing around the handshake.
Yeah. And look, it's we've now reached the point where there's almost nothing to be done about it. And I dare say this will gratify the brainwashed BJP trolls who hate watchers, but who else, I wonder?
What did you think of Atha's suggestion that maybe the ICC stop rigging every draw to maximise the opportunities for these two teams to play each other, because it's just become unseemly, really?
Jeez, that would be hard for the game to say no to money, wouldn't it?
It's hard for most people to say no to money, Gideon, but yeah, it is hard for the game to say no to money.
But you've got to think that, LET would be pretty happy to see this too. I mean, the objective of terror is to sow discord, isn't it? It's to cause uproar and spread hate. So I think LET would be delighted to see Indians and Pakistanis spitting at each other. The jihadists want a hot war in Kashmir. So fail to see how falling in line with this benefits anyone. But
no. Well, and as you say, I mean, there's a lot of antipathy in England. In India, towards the very fact that this game was being conducted. People were angry with the BCCI and the government for letting it go ahead. So, as you say, they would be happy with that. While we're in India, Australia A played their last match in Kanpur last night or the night before. I've lost track of time.
Lovely Kanpur.
Almost a sellout crowd.
Yeah, right. Yep.
It was an amazing crowd turned up for the game.
Well, they got a better crowd than they did for West Indies versus India, didn't they?
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
yes.
My goodness me. Yes, when you can't fill a ground for an Indian Test match, look on my works, ye mighty in despair.
That was pretty grim, wasn't it? Pretty grim. Yeah, I went out to make myself a piece of toast and a cup of tea, and the test was over. That was such a lackluster performance by the West Indians in that in their last innings, their batting performance was really poor.
Yeah. And generally a sort of a low intensity test, wasn't it? The gap between the two sides was so palpable, it was almost a question of simply going through the motions.
Yeah, it makes you start to think maybe two divisions could be a thing, Gideon.
I mean, isn't it amazing? The West Indies beat Australia just last year in a test match at the Gabba. but they have fallen so far off the pace that I think you're right. That they are making a very solid argument for two divisions right before our eyes.
There's another series on that we've completely forgotten. Australia are playing. The Australian men's team's playing as well.
That's I observed before the
Mitch Marsh thing. Yes,
the Mitch Marsh thing. Yeah,
I forgot the context of the innings.
and one of those was a washout. So the series, it's one of those series that's over before almost it's going on.
Right. They renamed it the Beige Oval or something for the series because it was some sort of animal, which was quite cute.
Well, I noticed that the Chapel-Hadley Trophy was on the line. For those of us who'd almost forgotten that the Chapel-Hadley Trophy exists. So obviously it's been gathering dust at CA for I think the last 10 years or so. And someone remembered, remember we play for that. Anyway, it can go back in the broom cupboard at CA.
Is that still an annual event? Did Australian Cricket agree to make that an annual event on the back of that first day-night test?
I think it was that.
We should know those things, shouldn't we?
But it never came to fruition, and it probably would have required a 14-month year for it to be fitted in.
Oh, you never know. They can have daylight saving. They can have a 14-month year.
Now, Pete, you also observed something about West Indies cricket. The loss of a certain special someone.
Bernard Julien. If you're of a certain age, you'll remember Bernard Julien. You would have seen him play, wouldn't you, Gideon?
I do, yeah. I actually got him on the cover of Ashley Gray's book here. There he is, over on that side.
Yeah. Just hold that up for everyone listening to the podcast to see.
Very good cricketer, yeah.
Yeah, that's Ashley Gray's book, The Unforgiven, isn't it?
Yeah. And I was just looking up the chapter about Bernard Julien in that book. Bernard Julien, for those of you who don't know, was a very stylish West Indian all-rounder of the 1970s. Looking up his record, it's actually not bad. He took 50 wickets at 37. He made 866 runs at 30. He made a couple of Test hundreds. He made a very important 26 not out in the 75 World Cup final.
He took a lot of wickets in that event. Actually, he took 4 for against Sri Lanka and New Zealand, I think, and 2 for in the final at Lords.
Indeed, and he also, people might have forgotten this, but I remember it very well. He was the opening partner for Roy Fredericks in Perth when Fredericks made that 169 off 140 odd balls. They put Julien up to open the batting because I think they dropped Greenwich. And they didn't pick Bachin. And Julien was like this silent partner. He put on 25 while they put on 91, and Roy Fredericks went crazy. He swung the ball a long way, and he had a really nice, composed, sound defensive technique. He probably should have lasted longer at Test level. There was just such a huge amount of West Indian talent around at that time. But he has passed, Pete. At the age of 75.
He has passed at the age of 75. He made a century at Lords, didn't he, Gideon? You've been looking up his record.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I'd been at home, I would have reached immediately for that book. It's by my desk at the moment, actually. 24 Test matches. But no, because he played in World Series cricket, didn't he?
Yep.
But more controversially, he was, and that's why he's in Ashley Gray's book. He was a South African rebel tourist, which was controversial if you were a cricketer from Australia or England, but extremely controversial when you're a cricketer from the West Indies.
Yep.
And you weren't treated very well at home. Anyway, the West Indies Cricket Board put out a statement today, and I thought it was very interesting because it was very much I think the olive branch had been extended prior to this, but it noted that his international career came to an end following his participation in the 82, 83 and the 83, 84 tours of South Africa. He said it said, when the world of sport was sharply divided by the moral and political challenges of apartheid, those decisions reflected the difficult realities of that era and the pressures faced by players navigating competing demands of opportunity, conscience, and circumstance.
Yeah.
As we honour Bernard Julien, we also recognise the importance of reflection and inclusion. Really quite a good statement that they put out. It goes on and on. But,
do you remember the chapter in The Unforgiven about Julien?
About trying to make contact with him, wasn't it?
Contact with him.
Yeah.
He was extremely elusive. He'd suffered ill health, and he was apparently a victim of depression, and was someone who had kept the cricket establishment at arm's length. And from what other players are saying on that tour, he really had gone on it simply because he had no money. He was broke.
Yeah.
Like any West Indian Test player who'd fallen out of Test calculations, they were subsisting on a modest stipend from domestic cricket, and I think he'd fallen out of calculations at county level by that stage. He had previously played for Kent. He had 4 seasons. Quite a number of those players. Yeah, quite a number of those players. He was on the breadline, which is hard to believe now in this modern era when there are so many good livelihoods around for players who aren't anywhere near the upper echelon of cricket. So that is a very thoughtful announcement.
Reflecting early on the decline of West Indies cricket, and I reckon one of the key factors in that decline is that when they were at their peak, they all played county cricket, just about, didn't they?
Yes,
they all play, and now they can't. I mean, those rules have changed, haven't they? It's more.
Also, the players aren't as good. Yeah, they were really, really good players, and there were a lot of them. And yes, and you're right. The number of vacancies in county cricket has diminished, and the tendency is for counties to sign players on shorter term contracts. There's not anywhere near the amount of first class cricket. There's a lot of T20 cricket. Players go for little FIFO contracts that don't last. But you're right. I mean, in some ways, it was Australian players in the late 80s, early 90s who took the place of West Indies players because they were keen and aggressive and eager to learn and good clubmen. And it got pretty clear to the counties that the quality of West Indian players was diminishing, and they weren't anywhere near as reliable or as committed.
Gideon, you said that we would get back to grade cricket.
I did.
Before this podcast was done.
Yep. Yeah.
We did. What about this kid, Harjas Singh, who played out at Blacktown on the weekend? What do you know about his innings?
Yeah, well, I watched the highlights, but there probably wasn't much more. So you can look it up on Fox Sports has posted the live footage of his innings of 314 from 142 balls, or at least the 35 sixes that he's hit, in addition to 12 fours. And it really, I know it probably sounds a little bit monotonous, but it is kind of fascinating to watch because the camera's stationary and the ground is empty. So you can hear the ball hitting the bat, and you can hear the ball landing and clattering among the equipment and bouncing off the side screen and hitting the cars in the car park, and the camera doesn't move, so you can see the bowler's shoulders slump. You can see the captain coming over to pat him on the back. You can feel the long wait for the return of the ball. The scoreboard gets a bit scrambled. It is like being in the game itself. I mean, we've all been there when your club has got an absolute toweling from someone who's gone berserk. But I really, really felt for the Sydney guys who were fielding through this innings, which is a record for a one-day innings in Premier cricket in Australia, I think, certainly in Sydney. And it's the second highest score, I think, in grade cricket in Sydney, all told. The record was Victor Trumper's 335, which was the first day of a two-day game back in 1903.
He came in at number 3.
He came in at the 11th over.
You wouldn't want him batting against your club. I think they lost 10 cricket balls. It's at an estimated value of $2,000. Paul McGrath, get out to Pratten Park.
Yeah.
There's a few Paul McGrath is an artist friend of ours who makes art from lost cricket balls or found cricket balls or whatever they are. I had heard about him a bit earlier. My mate Darshak Mehta, who's pretty close, who's obviously the chair of the Chapel Foundation, he got a call a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, from Neil DaCosta, the batting coach, said, you got to come out and check out this kid. At the time, he was 16. I think he'd just become one of about a handful of 16-year-olds to ever make 100.
Right.
In Sydney Premier first grade cricket competition. I think the others are Steve Smith, Usman Khawaja, Nick Maddison, Curtis Patterson, Arthur Morris, Ian Craig and Bobby Simpson. He's done it when he's the 8th youngest to score 100 in the men's first grade competition. And Neil was saying at the time, he's a lock for Australian cricket. I don't know why he doesn't have a New South Wales contract. I tried to make some calls earlier, but no one wants to talk to me today.
Okay.
He has very good genes. His father was Punjabi's state boxing champion.
Right.
And his mother was a state-level long jumper.
Right.
And his grandfather bribed him to become a cricketer. So when he was young, he would get cash every time he scored a 50. But apparently Grandpa had to file for bankruptcy after 2 seasons, so they stopped doing it. So, no, it's not true. His grandfather didn't go bankrupt. But I will try and get to the bottom of why I haven't seen him around the New South Wales camp just yet.
I think you will now.
Pretty exciting. Just another indication of the change that's coming over Australian cricket to a degree, isn't it? Changing demographics of Australian cricket, seeing it in the crowds and on the fields. I was talking to a guy the other day about the start of the cricket season. I don't know if I mentioned this on the pod the other day. I think I've seen about a handful of people use the nets in Marrickville in the last month, as people shake off the cobwebs from the winter. Someone lives out further out in the suburbs where there's a lot of Indian and Pakistani and Bangladeshi people, said the nets have been full all winter.
Well.
Fathers have had their sons and daughters in the nets all winter. Every night the guy sits across and watches people training in the nets. It's not happening in the inner west, pal.
A cricket et al. Reader, Pat Rogers, was actually at the game on
really?
weekend. Yeah. And he said that before play commenced, a few words were said in honour of 4 Premier Cricket stalwarts who had passed away since last season, including Bob Simpson, who, of course, who was the record scorer for Singh's first grade club, Western Suburbs. And, of course, within 2 hours, Simpson's long-time record of 229 for the club has been broken. He also points out, Pat, and I like this. So his mind wandered to Victor Trumper's amazing innings, his 335 back in 1903, when you only got a 6 if you hit it out of the ground.
That was one in Redfern, was it?
That's right.
Yeah.
Trumper hit 22 fives. Every time you hit a 5, you had to change ends, unless it was the last ball of the over.
Right.
So, but one of the hits famously went through the window of the boot factory across the road, and apparently the broken window was kept in its frame and displayed at the local leagues club for many years afterwards, touched by a holy Trumper 6. And Pat goes on to point out that that one of Trumper's New South Wales teammates from that era was a guy called Austin Diamond, who was a New South Wales captain in that period, and it is the diamond, the diamond of his name, that inspired the diamond that now is on the caps of Western Suburbs and was on the helmet of Harjas Singh as he made his 300 at the weekend. Nice historical connection, Pat Rogers. Thank you very much for that.
God, that's some deft work in the rabbit holes. Should be working for Cricket et al.
I'm surprised that he was able to tear himself away from watching all those sixes. But a thoughtful contribution from Pat. Thank you kindly.
Gideon, you sent out.
But if you haven't watched it already, do check up on the highlights. You'll love them for the soundtrack of the spectators who are cheering the Sixers, but also the on-field noise of the fielders trying to encourage the bowlers. Go, Joey! Bad luck, Doyley! Come on, Hunts! As the ball is retrieved from parts distant. That's
something that's probably that you're very familiar with, but me not so, because I sort of tend to cover cricket in a professional manner. But those sounds of the sound of cricket, particularly I think in those sort of empty stadiums or empty grounds where it somehow manages to keep the noise in. And there's something very romantic about it. There is a Sachin Tendulkar 6 that I remember in Nagpur, primarily because it bounced on the tin roof of the press box like that, and then you heard it roll down the gutter and then fall off the edge of the roof and smash a crate of empty Coke bottles in a shop outside the ground. Or, the sound of Mitch Marsh hitting a ball, or the sound of that sledging, even the sound of the bowler's feet when they run in.
Well, it makes a mighty clop. Makes a mighty clop as it leaves Harjas Singh's bat, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's a solid lad by the look of him. Gideon, I was going to ask you. You sent out a what do we call these things? A post to the Cricket et al. Substack subscribers this morning, or urging people to become financial subscribers before we put the price up. This is CPI affects Cricket et al. Like it affects everything.
Well, it's we're converging once again on Craig Sargent Day, which is November the 1st. That will be the great man's 74th birthday, and that's the day when we turned on paid subs on Cricket et al. A year ago, and we are actually going to bump the price up for subscriptions after that date. At the moment, it's $100 per year and $20 per calendar month from November the 2nd. The birthday of Vic the Trumper, we'll be going up to $124 per year, which is, of course, Pete, as you and I both know,
Craig Sargent's highest score in Test cricket. It was
124, and I think in a magnificent stand of 251 with Graham, he made 126.
What's important to note with this price change, Gideon, is that anybody who has an existing subscription stays on the old rate.
Yeah. Yep.
$100 a year, $20 a month. Yep. Cheapest
forever.
Chips.
Till the crack of doom.
So if you've got a subscription, don't stress. We're not going to screw you for any more money. But if you were considering getting a subscription for this Ashes summer, get in early and you'll get this cheaper rate.
Yeah. The only thing you would need to check would be if you got yourself a new credit card and you needed to update this on your details. But otherwise, as you were. But if you're not a subscriber to the Substack, cricketetal.com, and you want the opportunity to subscribe at the bargain basement price of $100 a year, you've only got 3 weeks to do it.
Some people's internet speeds are quite slow.
Now, is that all that we've got time for on Cricket et al. This week? I think it probably is, Pete. We'll be back this time next week with further developments in the Great Australian Bat-Off, an update on the Women's World Cup, potentially further exploits from grade cricket. Hopefully I'll get a game this weekend. I got washed out last weekend. I might even tell you how my house has gone at auction. But in the meantime, it's goodbye from me.
And it's good night from him.